everyone, welcome back to Assetto Corsa, and you're joining me at the halfway point of this Clio Cup race at Road Atlanta on Low Fuel Motorsport. I've fought my way up to P7 in this top split, but I'm having to work so hard to fend off Alberto Rodriguez behind. However, fortunes can change in the blink of an eye, and that's exactly what happens here. Look ahead, Octave Delator has spun out of 5th place, and just when I think there's space to get through safely on the inside, wham! Delator tries to rejoin and blocks off the racing line. Now at this point I decide to stay perfectly still to try and avoid any more carnage, but I am a sitting duck. Not once but twice I almost get hit. I then make the decision to try and run off track, but unfortunately I tag the oncoming K. Julius. So yeah, really I should have stayed still for longer, but I was in such a dangerous position when I came to rest after this shunt. Let's check it out from another angle so we can see exactly what happens. Now look for the two cars just coming into shot now. Octave Delator is the white Clio on the inside. He's being challenged by Johan Pereira, but he just loses it. Now at this point there's space to get through, but that space disappears when Delator tries to rejoin, causing absolute chaos. Now that's me at the bottom right of the screen. I thought the safest thing to do was to stay absolutely still, but I almost get drilled not once but twice. Both cars went on my inside, so I made the gamble to try and move off track. It was really bad timing because just as I did that, K. Julius came around and tried to take the outside line. So I immediately apologised to K after the race. I should have stayed still for longer. As a result, I ended up down in P16, but I'm back to give the race another try, and I'm hoping I'll be able to avoid the chaos this time because I've qualified really well. I'll be starting on the second row of the grid from P4. Now, I might not quite have the pace for a podium here. I'll need to get my lap times down into the 140s if I am going to fight for a top 3, but often I'll get better as the race goes on, so anything is possible here. Lights are green and we're underway, and I've got a really good launch off the line. It's not very often I can say that. As a result, I've already pulled myself level with Duo Olin, who started alongside me on the second row of the grid. Now if I can just get to T1 ahead of Olin, I'll find myself into a podium position, and that's exactly what I've done. So out of the first corner then, I'm up into P3. I'm going to keep one eye on my rearview mirror just to make sure Olin doesn't try anything daft up the inside into this right-hander. He's actually clipped the curb on the inside. He was sideways through that turn, and that's given me a bit of breathing room already. Meanwhile in front, the leading two are already threatening to make a break for it. Salvador Jurado has taken over the lead of this race. Jurado started P2, but he's managed to get past the pole sitter Alex Gomez. But as things stand, halfway around this opening lap, the pair of them have opened up a gap of more than 1 second over me in third. Thankfully there's a similar gap back to Olin in fourth, and that's because I managed to avoid carnage like this. It's such a dangerous corner, this one, as I know all too well from race 1. However, the leading 7 or 8 cars get through okay here. After that, it is mayhem. Cars sliding across the grass in all directions, several drivers getting tagged, and several races getting ended prematurely. Later in the lap, we saw more carnage. It was only the lightest of taps exiting turn 7 there, but it was enough to spin that car right around and collect 2 more drivers as they exited the corner. Even more mayhem was to follow. 4 drivers battling for a top 10 position as they come down the hill towards the final chicane. There's contact, and it inevitably ends in disaster with one spinning car going right back across track. Now thankfully, because I qualified so well and got away so well, I missed all that carnage. So we're returning to the live action at the start of lap 3. I'm holding on to this third position. However, I'm still around 1.5 seconds behind the leading 2. I've already managed to get my lap times into the 140, so I'm going quicker than I did in qualifying already. But maybe I'm pushing just a little bit too hard because I'm offline through the S's. I clipped the grass on the left, and now I'm in a complete mess. I run wide, exited turn 5 up over the hill, and that has allowed Olin the chance to take third position off me. Oh, that was a frightening moment. It could have been so much worse. Thankfully, I managed to hold on to it. I have got a cut warning for mid-troubles, though. That was pretty harsh. We only just grazed that grass on the outside. Meanwhile, yellow flags are out in front. It looks like the race leader. And it is Salvador Jurado coming back onto the track from the grass. So we're all making mistakes here. This is mine. And I'd already ploughed the turf on 2 separate occasions before making this massive mistake. Exited turn 5. That cost me third position. Now we're watching the race leader, Salvador Jurado. He comes into turn 6 way too hot. Look at him drift through this section. That is an absolute miracle that he kept it facing in the right direction and only lost 1 position. Well, make that 2 positions, because by the time we get to the bottom of the hill, Duo Olin has used that extra momentum to get his nose in front of Gerardo and take second place. However, Gerardo is going to have the inside line into the final chicane. Olin's running too deep, actually, so Gerardo snatches that second position back, and this might be an opportunity for me to challenge Olin. But I'm going for it, committed to the inside line, up over the brow of the hill, a blind crest. It was a brave move, but it's paid off. I've moved up into 3rd position, relegating Olin back down to 4th. Well, we're fast approaching 1/3 race distance here, and this podium battle is heating up. It's not just between me and Olin anymore. Look at Jesus Moreno in 5th position. He is within 1 second as well. And I'm bracing myself to be put under all sorts of pressure by Olin as we work our way down through the S's again. He's within 0.3 of a second now, and he is ready to pounce on any mistake I might make. So let's try and keep it on the tarmac this time. Oh, perilously close to clipping that exact same patch of grass. Thankfully, I get away with it. I tiptoe through turn 5. I'm really nervous through this section. There's such a lack of grip as you exit the corner, but for now, we're holding on to P3. Meanwhile, in front, Salvador Gerardo is doing everything he possibly can to try and recover from that mistake made at this part of the circuit a lap ago. He's right back on the tail of Alex Gomez. Now, big cloud of smoke, and that causes me to lose my bearings. I've momentarily lost sight of the apex, clipped the grass on the outside. Would you believe it? I've been given another track car warning. These penalties at Road Atlanta are incredibly harsh, but I may yet pay an even stiffer penalty because it looks like I'm going to lose my position to Duo Olin. I mean, I'm going to be taking the defensive line into the final chicane. I've got no choice about that because Olin is on my outside. He's carrying much more pace, though he might even get the job done before we even make it to this corner. Oh, fair play to him, though. He's left me enough space on the inside for us both to get through. But yeah, Olin's extra pace proves to be the difference maker. He surges past, back up into P3. I'm down to P4. Oh no, there's been a disqualification for Jay Wood. Jay is one of the CR Sim Racing team members on Low Fuel Motorsport, so he has clearly come to grief somewhere. Meanwhile, back on track, there may be a sniff of 3rd place for me here if I can just squeeze up the inside of Olin. No, it's not to be. I wasn't quite close enough and I had to back out of that one, but we are putting pressure on Olin now. We want that top 3 place back. Right, let's take a quick breather from this intense live action just to check out some highlights of this battle with Olin. This was my move up over the brow of the hill a couple of laps ago, tucking it up the inside to take 3rd position. However, Olin was soon to get that position back. He capitalised on my mistake, exiting turn 7 and breezed past. Right, back to the live action, and look how close Olin is now to Alex Gomez in 2nd. They are in a proper battle. Gerardo has regained the lead of this race and is threatening to clear off, but look how close the rest of us are. Gomez in 2nd, Olin 3rd, me in 4th, all within 1 second of each other. And look in the rearview mirror too, Moreno is clinging on as well. And as I closed in so rapidly through that final chicane, I wondered if I maybe had pulled the same move again on Olin. I wasn't close enough, but I am close enough now to try and sling a move up the inside into T1. Now, I attempted this a lap ago and I wasn't quite close enough, but I've made it stick this time. I get to the apex first. I close the door on Olin. Olin's going to challenge back though. This is going to be really tough if he stays alongside me into this right-hander. Thankfully, we just get to the turn ahead of him. Olin is a little bit out of shape there in the rearview mirror, so I've got a bit of breathing room as well, but fantastic battling. Let's check out the replay. This is my move up the inside into turn 1. I've half got the job done here, but Olin fights back. At this point, I was really worried. I thought he was going to try and move up the inside into this right-hander, but it looks like he just locked up the brakes and lost control. We're back to the live action now, into the second half of this race, and as you can see from the rearview mirror, Olin is going nowhere. I mean, I'm just about keeping Alex Gomez in sight ahead, but my real problems lie behind. Olin is just 0.3 of a second back, still poised to strike if I make the slightest mistake. I'm really nervous through this section now. I've clipped the grass one too many times already there, and I run a little bit hot into T5. Oh no, as soon as I felt the rear start to step out, I knew it was curtains there. Thankfully, I've got a clear track so I can rejoin pretty quickly, but at what cost? I'm down into P5 now. Yeah, really disappointing, but if I'm honest, I felt this mistake coming. I've not been confident through this turn at all. Every lap I've struggled, every lap I felt on the edge, and I think I just went beyond the limit there. This is the onboard view from Olin, and he probably had a bit of a panic himself at this point when he saw me sideways. I could have quite easily slid back across track there. Thankfully I didn't, and everybody got through safely. Right, back to the live action. We've got 8 minutes of the race left. The pack in front are well ahead now, and I find myself fighting to hold on to 5th position. I've got Riccardo Filippo breathing down my neck, and I'm still all out of sorts after that mistake earlier in the lap. I made a right mess of the final chicane there, and as a result Filippo is going to pull the exact same move on me that I pulled on Olin earlier in the race. Now I'm going to try and hold my line around the outside, but I'm fighting a losing battle as Filippo forces his way ahead and into 5th position. So I find myself down into P6 now, where Filippo is going to lock up going into turn 1. That opens up a big gap on the inside, and I can dive up and snatch that 5th position right back. Well, it may not be for a podium position anymore, but I have still got a proper fight on my hands here. Riccardo Filippo putting all sorts of pressure back on as we come down through the S's again. Can I make a break for it? Can I make this top 5 position my own? Well, if I'm going to, I'm going to have to conquer the corner of doom. I'm so scared running through here now, and I've made exactly the same mistake again, drifting out onto the outside curb. Thankfully I managed to keep it facing the right direction this time, but that has given Filippo the advantage, so I'm going to go defensive straight away here into turn 5, closing off this inside line. Dear oh dear, talk about putting myself under unnecessary pressure. Just when I had the opportunity to make a break for it, I make another big mistake in turn 5 and give Filippo the chance to challenge again. Right, we're going to jump forward now to 3/4 race distance. Filippo is still breathing down my neck. He's within 0.4 of a second. I just can't make a break for it as we come through turn 7. Really struggling for grip through there. It's so difficult to get the car rotated for a quick exit out of the corner, and it looks like Filippo has got a quicker exit than me. He is closing in and he is poised to strike. And if he does, I'm going to take a gamble on giving him the inside line for this upcoming chicane. If I can just hold my line around the outside, I'll maintain the inside line over the brow of the hill and into the final corner. I think that'll be my best chance of holding on to the position. Here we go then. Filippo is indeed going for that inside line, so it's imperative that I stay alongside him here. Hold this inside line, exiting the corner. We're side by side up over the hill. We're still side by side. Well, it's almost contact as we go over the brow of the hill, but I'm holding on to the inside line, and I am going to successfully defend this 5th position. Well, I tell you what, if I do end up finishing this race in the top 5, you can't say I haven't earned it. I am having to fight like I've never fought before here to hold off Riccardo Filippo. Yeah, it was a gamble to give him the inside line into the chicane, but I knew if I could just stay alongside him, I'd have the inside line not only for the final turn, but also for turn 1 on the next lap, and that's how it proved. My position here at the brow of the hill is crucial to holding on to 5th place. Had I been on the outside, it would have been curtains. Well, I was fully prepared to have to fight all the way to the checkered flag, but I had a bit of a reprieve coming through the chicane with 3 minutes left. Look in the rearview mirror. Filippo is sideways. He almost loses control as he tries to brake just a little bit too late, and all of a sudden I have some much needed breathing room. As soon as I saw Filippo make that mistake, the pressure eased. I knew that if I just lapped sensibly over the final few minutes, I would take 5th position, and that's exactly what happened. Here are the classified results then. And I said before the start of the race that I needed to get my lap times down into the 140s if I wanted to be competitive. Well, I managed that. A fastest lap in the race of 140.6, and had I not made that mistake at turn 5, I would have certainly been in contention for a podium. But I'm not going to grumble about this result. I think I drove pretty well here, bar a couple of sloppy mistakes, and I was well worth a top 5 finish in the end. Once again, I'm grateful to all of you who've joined me for the ride. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers.